Hey, well, listen, we have a fabulous guest in town today, and his name is Jeff Williamson. He's a PhD. Don't hold that against him. He's also the founder of the CMG Group and also professor at Olivet Nazarene. And so we'd like to welcome Jeff today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And he's got very special talents that we're going to get into today because you got to pay attention. He's going to give us some tips on our strengths, I think, and also some tips on millennials, I hope, too, because he does a lot of work with them. But Jeff, kind of give us a little backstory. Where'd you grow up? You grew up in a Christian family? Where did you go to school? All that stuff.
Yeah, I did. I grew up in southern Indiana, about an hour south of Indianapolis, and I had a great setting. My mom was the first of our family that come to faith, and so she was a warrior, and so I grew up knowing what it was like to have a praying mom, to have someone that was always for me, and so I was there in southern Indiana until I went off to college, and I went to Olivet, where I'm serving now.
Wow. But you also went to The Ohio State, too.
Yeah,
you did a little bit of postdoctorate work there, right?
did, yeah. I was born in Bloomington, Indiana, so I got to say that.
Okay,
that's all I'll
go.
say about that. But it was a real honor to be there at the Fisher College of Business for a year and to do postdoctoral studies there and just enrich my skill set so I could serve other people better.
That's great.
Well, Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about CMG Group?
Sure. The name comes out of the process by which I was trying to think about, who am I and what do I do and how am I going to do this? And so the CMG is for coach, mentor, guide, because that's what I do in different settings in different ways. For a lot of years, I thought about starting a business, and I thought about. I was looking back at some notes and was like, 8 years before I really followed through and got it done that I had in my notes this sketch to do that. And so back in 2017, I decided to actually do it, organize, name this thing, and start thinking about who I want to serve when I do with this.
And so who do you serve? Is that through coachmentorguide.com? Who do you serve?
Some examples from this past year, I've had a number of executive coaching clients where I'm working one-on-one with them. And it can be strengths related, which we're going to talk about that, but sometimes it may be specific couple of things that a leader says, I just need to get on top of this, and I don't really have a sounding board. I don't have an objective third party to kind of help me sort through these things. And that's the coach part, really, to kind of help them unpack that.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I totally relate where you wanted to start your business. I sat on my gifts and blessings for about 13 years when the concept of coaching came to me, but it wasn't until I became born again and God directed my steps with that, and I began incorporating my faith in my work. So why don't you tell us why you're passionate about what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I've had opportunities to have this play out in a lot of different venues over the last 20, 25 years. Sometimes it's been the individual coaching, but I've also been in higher ed. And so I've had opportunities to teach and train a lot of people. I couldn't even count at this point, but 20 plus years of doing some classroom work as a part-time or as a full-time. What gets me up in the morning, what excites me about my work is when I can develop and help someone in their journey. The strengths thing, my number one is maximizer. So a maximizer loves to see people absolutely top out with the gifts they have. Not just pretty good or good enough, but extraordinary. I love to work with young, we're going to talk about millennials too. I love working with them because a lot of times they don't even realize how gifted they are and how good they can be. And they almost need that nudge or a little prod even sometimes. So that's so exciting to me to help them grow and to help them really have those aha moments.
Yeah, maybe some of our audience don't really understand what strengths is. It was called Strengths Finder. Is it just abbreviated now, just strengths?
Now, for many years it was the Strengths Finder, and in the last year or two they've rebranded the assessment, and it's now called the Clifton Strengths Assessment, and that's to honor Dr. Don Clifton, who for many years was the CEO, chairman of Gallup organization, and he's the one who really did these decades of research on what makes people tick and what the impact is when we focus on the things we do best and what's right about us.
And you were really one of the early adopters because you go back almost 20 years with this, right?
Yeah. The assessment was used at first time in the 1999 area in there. And so it was the fall of 2000 that I was beginning my doctoral research, and I was working with first-time college students. So the 20-something, the love for 20-somethings goes way back. And I had opportunity to partner with Gallup, and they underwrote the study so that I could see, what was the difference when first-time college students are receiving coaching and guidance on their top strengths, their top talents.
Right.
And so that began in 2000. I finished the study in 2002, and now here we are, 2019, many years later. So I'm an old timer in the strengths movement, and I'm really proud of what we were able to do early on there.
Yeah, I was exposed to it through Marcus Buckingham and what he did, and of course the book and how he went on to from that. And we had a conversation about that, but. Yeah, I got to tell you, and we've known a number of strengths coaches. I've been through it myself, but it's, there's a lot of these assessment tools. There's a lot of stuff that's come along, but this is one of the older ones that's been out there for a while, and it also comes at it from a little different angle, too.
It does. One of the things that I love about it is that it has such a depth scientifically. It's not just a 10-question flavor of the month kind of feel to it. I mean, there's now over 21 million people worldwide who have taken the assessment. So they have that depth of the research and the impact. And there's just tons of data out there on ROI and impact.
I really like it. And I actually bring that together with spiritual gifts as well when I'm working with clients.
That's a great fit.
It is.
You mentioned one challenge because you had to get off your butt and start your own business, your consulting business. But any other challenge you can list, especially academically or anything? Because a lot of people don't realize how arduous being a teacher, being especially at the college level is.
Right.
Getting through the administration, getting stuff proved. Because you got to go through those certification things. So can you share any of those kind of challenges you've had?
Sure. I mean, we talked some about starting a business where you just kind of have to walk out on the high wire and go for it at some point. And I often will tell students, don't take this wrong, but you really just need to get over yourself and do it because there's some fear there. Yeah. And so that's something, along the way with that I had to really work with.
So how'd you get over that? What'd you do to get over your fear?
Well, when you tell other people to get over themselves and to just try things, it kind of helps if you deliver on it yourself.
Right.
And so I got feedback from a lot of people who had already started businesses or were entrepreneurs and said, hey, what do I need to be alert about? What things do I need to avoid? And so I don't just give advice and counsel. I really try to surround myself with good wisdom and discernment in other people.
Yeah, that's like Jennifer and I in the practices that we have. I've got the cuts, the scars, and the bruises. For all this stuff. And I think it just makes you more credible with clients when you've actually walked that and you've been there and you can understand and have an empathy and a passion, but also, give them a little bit of tough love sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I know you have to.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Imagine that, folks. She actually gives tough love.
They like it.
Crazy. Yeah, they like it. They love your tough love. Any other things along the way, just real quick?
Yeah, I mean, just on the life side is we've just had a lot of loss in our family here in the last year. And, you have to kind of remind yourself what you're about and what your roots are in and what your core values are in, and really lean hard on that.
It's in those low paths that you really find out how God works, isn't it? Being able to get on your knees and ask for some help there.
Absolutely.